Oh, shucky ducky, ladies and gentlemen, hope you're having a great day today. It's time. With Columbina's release just around the corner, we now have to look at the best teams that we're going to be playing with Columbina. Best as in interesting, not as in meta. Let me try to summarize her kit as best I can, starting with her skill, Gravity Ripple. It's basically a Nilou ring with lunar reaction damage. Off-field hydro damage that of course follows the team, 25-second duration, 17-second cooldown with more than 100% uptime. Doesn't need normal attacks to trigger, by the way. If you do lunar reactions or direct lunar damage, you generate gravity stacks, 20 stacks over 2 seconds. If you manage to reach her cap of 60, you will trigger a gravity interference. Gravity interference is basically one instance of direct lunar damage. Damage type depends on which lunar reaction was triggered the most in that particular time period. As of this Monday, one hit of AoE damage for that type is basically the way to go. This also triggers her A1 passive that gives plus 5% crit rate for 10 seconds. This has 3 stacks and I suspect it's relatively easy to maintain permanent uptime. Next, let's look at Columbina's ult, Moonlit Melancholy. Columbina spreads her wings for a domain expansion. Let me repeat that. Columbina spreads her wings. That alone is enough reason to justify getting enough ER so that you can use her ult on the regular. Create a domain like Nahida. Not sure about the size comparison though. As long as you're inside, the entire team's lunar reaction damage is buffed. I'm pretty sure that includes both Lunar Charged Thundercloud damage and direct lunar damage itself. And finally, her normal attacks. Columbina is a mage. She normally has generic hydro charge attacks, but if you do Lunar Bloom reactions, she'll be able to also use the Verdant Dew to do 3 hits of Lunar Bloom damage. As part of her A4 passive, if you're also inside her ult domain that I mentioned a little bit earlier, you can start generating something called Moonridge Dew, which is a special version of Verdant Dew. Now, beta footage for this has been a little bit unclear about the mechanics surrounding it, but I think you can generate them simultaneously, and it would make the most sense that you would be using Moonridge Dew first before you start consuming your Verdant Dew, but I have seen footage that claims otherwise. Speaking of her A4 passive, there's a couple of other things to note about her ult domain. Lunar Charged Thunderclouds will have a 1 in 3 chance to do 2x hits, and Lunar Crystallise turrets will also have a 1 in 3 chance each to do 2 hits. I sense some confusion here. What in the tarnation is Lunar Crystallise? Well, it's basically wet rock, but you get some turrets as well. And finally, there's her Moonsign Benediction. Electrocharge, Bloom, and Hydro Crystalise become their lunar versions. Hopefully this can be expanded in the future with, let's say, LunarVape, Lunar Freeze, Lunar Swirl even, and the base damage of lunar reactions will be increased by up to 7% if you have, let's say, 35k HP. Columbina's HP, for the record, is slightly lower than Farina's, so maybe it'll be a little bit more difficult to reach that cap. We'll just have to see. And so with all of that in mind, it's time to have a look at the teams that I will definitely be trying with Columbina when she releases. Let's start off with the already existing Lunar teams that will most likely get a huge buff of some description with Columbina's release. Nefer. Nefer teams historically struggle with hydro options, either normal attack, locked, or circle impact, or they just simply have wasted kits. I've been using Farina in my Nefer teams, but that's mainly to buff my Miko, because with Columbina's release, I expect most of us will start pivoting towards a Sucrose, Nahida, and Columbina option, and this is probably going to be her most meta team. Whether you run Sucrose or Nahida is probably going to depend on you specifically. Do you otherwise have nobody running Deepwood? Llama could run Serenade, Columbina could run the new artifact set that's apparently designed for both her and Ineffa. Do you get annoyed at complex rotations that you need to swap back and forth with in order to maintain a buff? To be fair though, Sucrose's ult does actually fix that problem. If the answer to either is yes, then I think the solution for you is probably Nahida. Otherwise, Sucrose can have the benefit of double buffing both Nefer's damage and Lauma's Bloom Gen buff, which of course also buffs Nefer's damage. And she can buff Columbina's off-field Lunar damage as well, so she does end up being a pretty strong option. Alternatively, there is also C6 Jahoda. I'm pretty sure there's no global cooldown on Lunar Bloom reactions, just a cooldown on Verdant Dew generation. And so because of that, I wonder if having Jahoda's off-field Hydro can in fact benefit Columbina's personal damage in triggering more off-field direct Lunar Bloom damage. One thing of further note is the arrival of Moonridge Dew, because Nefer teams already can rotate and juggle having access to only 3 Verdant Dew, so plus 3 Moonridge Dew likely will feel wasteful if you don't change your rotation around. It does seem like the best way to use them is with Lauma's Hold skill. This would further increase the number of Bloom Gem buffs that she can give, which will also cover the direct Lunar Bloom damage coming from Columbina herself. All of this to say, Nefer teams already are very strong, but they should be even stronger, and in fact ludicrously strong moving forward. Next up we have Lunar Charged. Obviously I'm including the Flynn's teams, but I don't have him, so I won't speak any further about him. For starters, I hear that apparently the Ineffa Columbina core is going to be the new wheelchair. Supposedly these two off-fielders can automatically raise the damage floor of literally anyone who joins the team to a point where even higher DPS checks aren't even remotely as difficult to clear anymore. So let's keep an eye on that. But for the record, the other teams that I'll be mentioning that happen to have Columbina and Ineffa, they aren't teams that I'm interested in because of this wheelchair. They are in fact just simply interesting enough in their own right. When it comes to Ineffa's Hydro options, honestly the only thing I've been keeping an eye out for is a way to maintain Ascendant Gleam. Previously our only option was Ino, and like I mentioned, she has Circle Impact. We now have Jahoda, especially C6 Jahoda if you have her. Even if she somehow doesn't manage to infuse with Hydro, her main advantage is giving Ascendant Gleam. That means our Thunderclouds will definitely be doing more damage. Otherwise, any Hydro character that we build for DPS, i.e. with crit, is great in these teams. Farina, DPS Mona, especially in a Hexarray team with Sucrose or Durin, or hell, Medic Mona with Durin. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Columbina will thus be another amazing option for Lunar Charged teams. Aside from her ult, of course, being a great big buff to the damage that you're doing, I think the main thing she'll bring is the possibility of double hits from Thunderclouds. Otherwise, once again, Sucrose will be very strong in these teams. The strongest Thundercloud DPS might actually come from a Sucrose, Medic Mona, Ineffa, and Columbina team. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's going to be the case. Either that, or you drop the Hexarray altogether and run C6 Jahoda and Sara. Expect the already very solid, very malleable Lunar Charge teams to have an upper tier of options when Columbina releases. Now that we've gone through the more standard teams that already exist, let's talk about some of the more unusual teams that I'll be looking forward to trying with Columbina. Ningguang's Thunderous Lunar Crystallise team. So I haven't talked about her in a while, but I've actually been a Ningguang main back in the day. She's a really cool character and I really like playing with her. With Columbina's release, we're also going to be seeing another 5-star in the patch called Zebai, and she'll be bringing the Lunar Crystallise reaction. What's really cool about Columbina is that you actually don't need Zebai in order to get access to Lunar Crystallise. And for that matter, you don't need Ineffa, Lauma, Nefer, Flynn's. You don't need any of these 5-star characters in order to get access to those Lunar reactions. So long as I have Columbina on the team, Ningguang and her already does the trick, so we can start building a team around that. That's the Lunar Crystallise part of this sorted out, but you may have noticed that I'm trying to make a Thunderous team, so surely that means I'd bring a Nefer as well, right?
No.
The problem with the Nefer is that her robot Brigitte is unironically too active, and as a result we're pretty much always going to see a Lunar Charge aura. This is a double aura with Hydro and Electro. The problem is that Crystalise has a slightly different reaction priority to other elements. It will react with Electro first, followed by Pyro, Hydro, and Cryo for some inexplicable reason. On top of that, Crystalise, as of writing, has a 1-second universal cooldown. That being said, I seem to have seen Ningguang's ult break through the Electro aura and potentially cause a Hydro Crystalise, so I do wonder if I can at least get a Lunar Crystalise to spawn some of the Lunar Crystalise turrets. The problem still remains that if I can't do consistent Lunar Crystallizes, I'm pretty sure the turrets won't attack. But at least in my current testing, I seem to only be seeing exclusively Electro Shards, so it's not sounding all that great at the present moment. So, What can we do about this? Well, what I've found to be a potentially decent solution is to drop Ineffa and run a different electro off-fielder instead. One who isn't as persistent as Brigitte, one who is also definitely in a brazenly homosexual relationship with the Lady Ningguang. I am of course referring to Beidou. With Columbina on the team, we'll still get those thunderclouds, and because Beidou's electro app requires normal attacks or charge attacks, this also means that when you use Ningguang's screen or Ningguang's ult, you're actually not getting that electro app, therefore preventing hydro crystallizes. So I think in a team like this, I have in fact seen a fair few more hydro shards, so we'll see whether or not this can result in some damage coming out of those lunar crystallized turrets. On top of that, Beidou can use the Flame Forge inside if you happen to have that, and so between this and C2 Shillinen, I think I'll have very little problem getting her ult back on the regular. So is lunar lesbians going to be a thing? Well, I'll definitely be trying out this team when Columbina drops to see whether or not the concept at least checks out. Otherwise, obviously the full extent of this team's DPS won't be fully realized for a while, as we'll need to farm the new weekly boss drops in order to get her talents upgraded. Speaking of Geo stuff, we have yet another Noelle team. Because I don't need Zabai in order to get access to Lunar Crystallise so long as I have Columbina on the team, we're once again at the divine moment of experiencing the unlimited glory of Noelle, the ultimate strongest knight of Mondstadt. One hilarious aspect of Noelle's kit is that her geo-infused attacks from popping her ult have no ICD for some reason. So for Crystalise reactions, there is still the global ICD, but aside from that, she's pretty much triggering Crystalise 24/7 so long as you have her ult active. Noelle is of course also a healer, and a team healer at that, so we won't need to worry about defensive utility in this team. But that's also why I'm thinking of running double Geo, double Hydro with Farina and Columbina. The Hydro Resonance does make it easier to get Columbina to her 35k HP cap, and double Hydro means the ER requirements of both Farina and Columbina can be relaxed a little bit. I'll of course choose C2 Shillinen as my second Geo in the team. Who you choose can be entirely up to you. Woro could in fact be a perfectly fine option. This team should therefore have 5 sources of DPS going at once. Salad Solitaire, built for DPS, Columbina's Hydro, which I've also built for DPS, Columbina's direct Lunar Crystallized damage, Lunar Crystallized turret damage, and of course Noelle's on-field DPS. So I have a pretty good feeling about this team. It's yet another option for Noelle to play as an alternative to the various Hyper Noelle teams that already exist. I do just want to also mention that Navia can get her ammo from simply triggering Lunar Crystallise, since the reaction replaces shards with turrets. So yes, a Lunar Navia team is also going to be something you can try doing when Columbina drops. Nilou. The only Nilou variant that I want to try is going to be my main Nilou team, but replacing Candace with Columbina. It's unlikely that I'll build that much EM on Columbina though, so we might be leaning rather heavily on both the Serenade buff from Llama and of course Nahida's Domain EM buff. Columbina, being a mage, is quite nice so that when she's on field she can really push the Bloom Seed generation. But we're going to lose Llama's Nascent Gleam buff on Bloom DPS in favor of her Ascending Gleam buff on Lunar Bloom damage. You can also alternate between Llama and Columbina in using the Dews for their direct Lunar Bloom damage. Otherwise, should there ever be a Spiral Abyss or I guess Stygian Onslaught that demands Nefer on one side and Nilou on the other, I suppose we could take a look at a Nilou team with only Columbina and see how that goes. Dehya LunarVape. At the present moment, the Dehya LunarVape team consists of Chevy, Ineffa, and Farina. Columbina's release, of course, means we'll be seeing what happens if I replace Farina with her. We'll lose up to 75% damage buff from the Fanfare generation, but instead we'll get the full plus 120 EM with the Serenade in an Ascendant Gleam form, and with both Columbina and Ineffa on Serenade at the present moment, I could instead run Tenacity on Columbina for the time being, which would also boost the EM buff given from Ineffa to Dehya. I would be shocked and surprised if Dehya somehow still is doing the same DPS in this team. I expect we'll be sacrificing some of her damage in favor of significantly more Lunar Charged DPS, especially with the aforementioned Ineffa Columbina wheelchair. Alternatively, I could get Columbina on the new artifact set eventually, and we can see what kind of DPS comes out of a team like this. Although I hear that the new artifact set is better on Ineffa, so I don't know what to think at this point. Because we don't need Chevy's team healing for a team like this, there might be more reason to run Bennett instead for more the higher personal DPS, but I'd be surprised if this results in more team DPS. Chevy buffing both the higher and Ineffa's attack in a team like this is actually pretty goated. An alternative that would obviously result in more energy issues for the higher at the very least is of course Shillinen. The Red Shred affects all the DPS on the team, including the Lunar Charged DPS, Columbina's Ring, the highest punches. C2 Shillinen, if you have her as well, also benefits the entire team because the higher does like attack, although she does prefer HP at C1+. Ineffa can use the energy generation so that she never has to pop her shield, which is actually a big deal if you happen to be running Bacon of the Red Seas on the higher, and Columbina scales off the HP buff. I'm dangerously close to getting C6 the higher, which is a constellation that synergizes with her C4, so I'll begin that constellation from the free constellation event, provided I don't accidentally get her C6 when pulling for Columbina. So if you're excited for more the higher content, then don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because that will of course help me a lot. Speaking of overvape, I'll also briefly mention Degenerate Meta Slop. With Mawika, Shilden, and Neffer Columbina, yeah, of course this team is going to be strong. Same with Durin and Arlecchino. Although there is a Medic Mona and Durin team that I briefly mentioned a little bit earlier that could be very interesting because support Durin's Red Shred on triggering Overload will of course also affect Lunar Charged DPS. That includes Thundercloud damage, that also will include Columbina's direct Lunar Charge damage. Now I don't know if any of these will be stronger than the current meta Slop of like Melt Mawika and all that jazz. I don't care. I will of course stick with Mawika Vape anyway because it's fun. Let's move on. Finally, I want to talk about Full Ascension, the Hyposelenic Inquisition. This is an oops or not cry team, leveraging both Lunar Charge and Lunar Bloom DPS. The only way you can make this work is with double Hydro, I think, enough to break Lalma's Dendro Aura so that we can get some Lunar Charge damage in there as well. For that reason, I don't think Lunar Crystallise can fit in a team like this, otherwise Ineffa ends up not doing all that much. To stick with the theme, Aino ends up being the obvious second Hydro choice because, guess what, she's also Hydro, and with a C1, the active character gets plus 80 EM. Everyone on the team will obviously benefit from an EM boost, so as long as you swap between them, they are able to take advantage of it. And if you happen to have a C6, the active character also gets plus 35% buff to their Lunar Reaction damage, which I think is an EM multiplier buff, correct me if I'm wrong. There is an alternative though, and her name is of course Jahoda. The goal is to find an opportunity to Hydro infuse Jahoda's bottle. This is easy enough at the start of the rotation when there's nothing going on. You're otherwise then looking for a moment when someone has a Hydro aura on them, of course, and that would mean that's a moment when Lalma's Dendro aura has actually been washed off. It is tricky, and with the Farina variant that I've tried so far, I have noticed occasionally filling the bottle with Electro, which actually bricks the entire team, because then you have no more Lunar Charge Thunderclouds, and thus no more Ineffa DPS. There will probably be content in the future, especially during the non-cry cycle, that may incentivize bringing an insane team like this, but otherwise I think I will leave it at that. This video is long enough. Thanks for watching everyone, hope you guys enjoyed it. What team are you excited to play when Columbina shows up for real in the game? Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more Genshin Impact action, and until next time, I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.